Welcome back, traders. Dennis, how you doing there?
Trying to see if it's going to work here now. Testing one, two, three. Do you guys hear me?
Check, check, check. Okay, all
Check,
right.
check, check. I think we're good. I think we're good. Chat, do you hear us now?
Come
We'll
on,
wait to
J
hear.
Dot. I'm sure they can hear us here. I'm getting all the right signals here.
All right, we were talking about the tractor beam and how we think the S&P futures playing out scenario that it might take out all the stops in the 1840s, get up to that 1850 level, and then possibly reverse. I don't know if I see that playing out today. I think we could close strong, but I think come Monday, some people might actually get scared. I think it's not going to be a smooth breakout. That's what I'm basically saying.
Okay. All right, and we got crude trading a little bit lower. We'll just cover that real quickly. Tight range yesterday, finding some resistance up in the 103 handle. What I'm keeping an eye on here, in order to really get a break going here in the light sweet crude futures, you have a intraday low here now at 102.34. You had a low yesterday at 102.28. So that's the level I'm looking at for crude. You take that out, I think we may get back some of this rally that we had.
Yeah, crude's been on a march. You can't argue with the trend here. Ever since the 96, 97 area a week and a half ago, we've just been marching higher. Couple days of consolidation here where we're pausing a little bit. 103.20, obviously a little bit of resistance up there, but I don't see any reason to get off this train if you're already on the crude train. If you're not on the crude train already, it might be a little bit late because you might be chasing a bit from a swing trader perspective, but I think the trend is still higher for crude. Gold, Joel, trading higher here as well. We've got gold, obviously, the positive correlation that it now has with the market. Trading up $5 as the S&P futures up 3.
It's kind of coiling here. You had that spike high at 13. What's been the high of the move here? 1332.40. And then the last three sessions, you're bunching up here at the 1325 area. Hit 2480 in today's session. So just try in a trading range over the last 3, 4 days here. And gold, as it so commonly does, winding up here for a breakout above 1332.40 or a breakdown. You had two lows right in that 1308 and change area, so that's your major support. So gold
We've
in a range.
we've got some big guns that reported earnings there last night. Let's start with the biggest gun, Hewlett Packard, reporting
Hewlett
earnings
Packard.
90 cents versus 84 cents, 28.2 billion versus 27.17 billion. The stock immediately popped after hours up to $31 on that report. Then pulled back though, wasn't smooth sailing. I actually did get a little dirty in this one. I was pulling back. I did short some stock up at 30.65. Came all the way in, went actually negative. So interesting that, the report was well, but they pulled it all the way in. Traded down the 29 handle, but now has started drifting back up. And now we're kind of just hanging out here at 30 and a half.
Wow, what a volatile session, huh? You got the spike up, you're right, to 31. Did it stop right on 31 on the nose? Stopped at 31 on the nose, then you had a dip under 29.80 to 29.71, and now you're just kind of hanging out here at the 30.50 level, really for the last half hour, 45 minutes, bouncing between 30.40, 30.60. You like to see those kind of formations, in the pre-market. Gives you an idea of what could happen in the regular session. 30.28 went out strong, closed above the high here. This has been the highs of the move wholesale for Hewlett Packard. So I'd say you hold this magic 30.28, 30.19, the high and the close. You got a chance to rip up, test that pre-market high at 31. Don't like it under $30 here. Don't see a lot of support until you get down into the mid 29s. You had two closes at 29.45 and 29.58.
So are you proud of me, Joel? Because I actually didn't short it when it was going up in that spike. I waited till it was coming back down, just
Yeah,
like you always tell us. So,
yeah, no,
yeah.
that's a good one. Did you get to cover it?
Yeah, I've covered around 30.20, right, as it was coming in. And then I held a couple hundred and it went down 29 in the 29s. Then I started pulling back up and I covered in the low 30s. So I made, I think, 30, 40 cents
Hey,
average on
that's
it.
not
So
bad. Better than.
little move.
And was there any guidance from the company?
Brent, did Hewlett Packard guide? I actually didn't write that down. Is Brent there? Brent.
I'm here. I'm
Right,
here.
right, right.
Let me see. I don't remember. I don't think so.
That was so long ago.
It was so last night. No, I don't.
Yep. So last night.
Actually, yeah, they did. They had a little bit of quarterly guidance, and they also had some fiscal year guidance. Q2 EPS expected in the range of 85 to 89. The street is at 89, so that's going to be at the lower end. And then they did, looks like, boost their fiscal year 14. Prior range was 355 to 375, and now they're at 360 to 375.
Any sympathy plays here, Dennis?
You know what? You used to say like there used to be so many different PC stocks here. Now it's like Hewlett Packard's like bought them all up. Remember there used to be back in the day Compaq Computer and all, but slowly all these computers companies have all been bought. So I don't know, and you don't have a real distinctive move here either. So usually when I'm looking for sympathy plays, I'm looking for a stock trading up strong, up 5, 6, 7%. This is just wishy-washy trading. So I can't see any other stock really that's going to be moving here along with the Hewlett Packard, at least not directly.
A final
I
note
mean,
on Hewlett Packard here. We got up to $30 back in February of 2012 here. We're going long term on you boys here. And boy, that was a key high that held for the better part of a couple years now. And then now you're getting above this 30 here. So, man, oh, man, oh, man. I mean, between 30 and 35, as you can tell by looking at this monthly chart, we vacuumed down through that area. So key potential long-term breakout in Hewlett Packard.
what was that high back on the 2012? You've got it highlighted
At
there on the
30,
screen.
it was 30, right
30 right on the kisser?
yeah, right on the kisser, man. And then we never saw $30 for the next 2 years.
Well, it started going on the death march in 2012 where it looked like it was going to zero when it went from 30 to like 11 and then obviously popped up along with the Best Buy. It always seems like this stock for some reason trades closely with Best Buy. I know Best Buy sells their products, but you had the Best Buy disappointment, obviously, where it went from 40 to 24. We have not seen that yet in Hewlett Packard here, but this $30 area is
Huge.
huge.
Yep.
You want it to close above 30. If you're bullish this stock, you want it to close above 30. Long term, fundamentally speaking, this company needs to reinvent themselves. There's no doubt about it. PCs are definitely not the future here. If they can get into 3D printing or something like that, obviously that would be solid. But I think if they don't start reinventing themselves here soon, stock could be in some trouble. So
Just real
30 bucks needs to hold though.
Just real quickly, you mentioned the BBY here, and this thing is just winding up here. Look at the last 5, 6 trading
Wow.
sessions. Holy Toledo. Traded between 24.45 and 25.11. Stuck in the middle there, trying to carve out the 25 calls and 24.50 puts here. Hey, this could be a little breakout on the upside here. If this thing gets going, gets above 25 and holds it here, you could be going back up to the higher 25s here. You had a high at 25.66. So real quiet. I mean, after that kind of break, what do you make of this, Dennis? This kind of major break. It looks like you put a double bottom in there, and now you're just consolidating here. You think Hewlett Packard's going to turn things around here, or not Hewlett
Best
Packard?
Buy.
Best Buy, yeah.
Big time battle between the Bulls and the Bears. That's what's happening, and they're jockeying here. So I would wait until it either starts breaking down or breaking out and probably go with the flow. 25.17 was the high 3 days ago. I think that's been the high in the last 5 days.
Yep.
So we start getting above 25.20, start getting above 25 and a quarter. Then it starts to get interesting. Then you do have those other highs at 25.66. Would love it to take those out. On the lower end, you start getting low below 24.45, and then it looks like the Bears might take over. So I would let the battle play out and then go with the flow. Go with it. If it's going to break out, maybe go with it. If it starts to break down, maybe go with it. So big time battle, Bulls and the Bears.
Bulls and the Bears.
Price line
Oh,
up
jeez.
$27 here again. New highs was actually was up at new highs. Isn't now 13.35 was the high here off the earnings report. So it really popped up last night. $8.85 versus $8.29, blowing the numbers away. 1.54 billion versus 1.52 billion, so being on the top line as well. And like we said, it did pop to new all-time highs, but is now struggling at the high from just 3 days ago, up in that 13.13 area. It's trading at 13.10 right now.
Big pop, big range Hanover in this. You've had it just in that bar when the earnings were released. You had a nice all range from 1250, nothing like 100.15. I mean, it's on my 15-minute chart here, but it took place in nanoseconds. You popped off from 1250 up to 1335, 13. And now I like where this thing is hanging out here, just at the 1310 level. Not a lot of trades going on. You had the former highs, the former all-time high you made a few sessions ago at 1382 here. So I'll still respect that number as resistance. You get above there and could be looking at the pre-market high. Calling this thing on the downside here, Dennis. Been finding good support at the $1,300 level. Bounced off it a few times earlier this morning.
Yeah, 1313 was the high, like we said 2 days ago. So if we can start to get above that again, but right now I'm just scared because it's trading right there and kind of struggling with it here. So obviously the initial spike took it through, but really all that after hours trading, we've not been able to really take that level out. So that's a big number for you, that 1313. Call the whole thing 1314. Big number on price line. Groupon,
Oh,
what a wild range. Bring up the after hours chart on this puppy because this thing was absolutely crazy. They beat the numbers. 4 cents versus 2 cents and
what?
768 million versus 718 million. Yeah, your chart isn't wrong. And then the guidance. The
Oh,
guidance not good. 0.02 losing. They see losing 2 to 4 cents. We're supposed to make 6 cents. That's why they're knocking the stock down here. But look, on that initial report, the stock went from where did it close? It closed over at 1027. It ran all the way over $12, got up to
oh.
12.10, and whoever bought it up there absolutely punished. They took the stock down. They took it through settlement. They've now taken it down $1.30 here. We're trading near the lows down at $8.96. This thing's had a 3 point range on a $10 stock. You're talking like a 30% range here after hours. This is crazy trading.
I saw it pop up near 12, and I don't know if I was just getting ready to leave the office here, and I was thinking how, wow, it's really struggled at that $12 level going back at the beginning of the year. You had one spike high at 12.42, but you had another couple highs at 12.20, 12.19, and then they brought it right back under 12, couple highs 11.3, 93, and 94. So I was thinking that $12 could be good resistance and it's going to send you a little message there. Did get to 12.10, you would have had to been quick because it just turned around and just tanked here. And now you're coming down, you're finding some support here at the 870, the 875 level. I wouldn't be shorting it down here. I mean, after that kind of spike back down, and for it to hold up this long in this tight area, people are just bringing this thing in. So I think it's opening up into support here. In order to get into yesterday's range, wow, you got a long ways to go to get back up to 1011. Wow, what a crazy session. But you said, did you see it? Did you get any shorts off there or not? Because you would have had.
I didn't get down dirty in this one. No, it's hard to trade multiple stocks, not all automated. I do have some automation actually, but I was getting down dirty in the Hewlett Packard and actually trying to trade a few other things after hours. So I was not trading Groupon. But
Wow.
wow, if you were looking at that $12 area and you got some shorts off up there, congratulations, because that's a great trade. And obviously the stock pulled back significantly here. But I will agree with you, Joel, with the support in multiple lows in the 890s there in early December. We did wash through those lows and trade as low on December the 2nd down to 840. So that's, still support, but I still think, this higher 890s, we're kind of opening right into that area. So maybe that gives you some early support. Also here, sorry I'm still stuffed up here, guys. I'm still fighting Joel's cold. Nordstrom, JWN reported earnings, $1.37 versus $1.34, which is a slight beat, and $3.71 billion versus $3.72 billion, which is a slight miss. And then the full year guidance, 375 to 390. Analyst estimates were up at 407. So the guidance is knocking JWN down here this morning. It closed at 59.44, is now trading down at 58 and a quarter.
Nice pre-market range as well, and after hours spiked up to 60.20 here on the initial news. Came crashing back down to the $58 level. Actually got to 60.22 here. Now finding support at 58. If you go to your daily charts here, you will see a low here at 57.75. So that's a key level here for Nordstrom to hold here. You see that 57.75 low. Be looking for that. That would be the 2-day low. Coming back yesterday's range, we don't have that far to get to 58.87, which was your low yesterday, and probably some size reforming there at 39. But a lot of highs there in the upper 59s here, and looks like they were good sells based on the results today.
One more big gun reporting here this morning is Dish Network, symbol
Dish.
DISH, blowing the numbers away. 63 cents versus 41 cents, the adjusted number, anyways. 13.9 billion versus 14.35 billion, so slight miss on the revenue. But the stock is popping up here in the pre-market. Pretty light volume, only 3,300 shares have traded, but it's up a buck 93 here this morning.
Just made a high recently here at $60 on the nose in two different brackets here. So 60 is your resistance. That's probably, yeah, all-time high for the issue. Maybe you got up to 58.87 earlier in the month here. So let's keep an eye on that nice round number 60. That was the pre-market high. This thing is not showing any wear and tear from that big cable merger, though. Dennis, you think that eventually that's gonna eat into the market share for Dish here a little bit?
I don't know if that's gonna or not. Like, look at DirecTV here too, though, Joel. That thing went earnings yesterday, and that thing took off to new highs too, up at 75.50. That's, I think, all-time highs for both of these stocks.
What
So they're not showing any wear and tear at all, either of these companies.
what's DirecTV symbol?
DTV,
Oh, okay. All right. Waiting for
that's a
that.
good one.
Yeah, the waiting for that one to come up here as well. I guess people are gonna still continue to use the dishes and the Direct TV. Yeah, that just made a new all-time high yesterday at 75.50, closed at 75.08. See if it makes another run at that 75.50 high today.
Just early market imbalances. This is Friday of option expiration, and the pre-market imbalances usually don't mean much on this day. On the third Friday of the month, there's so many institutions that are jockeying their option positions at the open that the pre-market imbalances don't mean nothing. We have major sell imbalances across the board, some of the biggest sell imbalances you'll ever see, but I would expect that most of those will get offset or possibly even flip. So the S&P futures are not responding, but I'm looking at a GE minus 1.4 million to sell. I'm looking at Johnson Johnson minus 300,000, Procter & Gamble minus 345,000. But from watching these over the years, usually on the option expiration Fridays, they flip around, they change, they do all kinds of funky stuff as new institutions coming in. You have so many institutional players that are going to be jockeying their option positions against the stocks that I don't give any real relevance to the imbalances. The one thing I will say, though, is you do get some crazy opens. So as we get closer here, just remember that some stocks might open too high or too low on these days.
Okay, real quickly, ISIS here is popping up here, and some favorable news in the pharmaceutical area. Doesn't this always happen? 54.47, we just spiked to, pulling back here. So pre-market high 54.47, and if you're paying attention to your charts, you'll notice that the all-time high in the issue is 54.90. So see if we can get up there and challenge that $55 level. If you do get a pullback here, wow, 3 days of trade the range. 50.51 to 50.73 encompasses the last three lows, and the last three highs 52.46 to 52.65. So if you get a point and a half off back down to that 52.50 level, I'll look for support. All right, we're going to take a quick break here. Make sure nothing blows up here in the office, and we're going to bring back Joe Gits. Welcome back, traders. We got Joe Gits, President and Chief Executive Officer of Social Market Analytics. SMA provides subscribers with real-time social sentiment signals, consistently predict move it in specific stocks. The New York Stock Exchange uses their data over secure data network, and it's provided to 70% of the world's banks and is available to hedge funds. So a lot of people out there using the sentiment. What are some of the sentiment winners from your overnight readings from your pre-market edge report?
All right, so here's what we got this morning, guys. It's actually been a really interesting week. We can talk about some of them in a little bit. So we've got current. I'll go over current top 10, current bottom 10 that our subscribers are looking at right now. So in the current, and actually before I get into specifics, we do have a positive bias in the market this week for sure, today for sure. So we've got a lot of significantly strong signals and not a whole lot of negative signals today.
Okay.
So that's something to keep in mind for your trading activity.
So what do you got for us? Positive.
So what I got today, and you'll recognize some of these names from the Rubicon Technologies number 1, 4.128. And before I get into some of these numbers, 4.128 means people are talking about that security 4 standard deviations more positive than normal.
What's the symbol on that one?
RBCN. There are some downgrades this morning. It's a semiconductor, a specialized semiconductor. RBCN.
So
Okay.
this one you're looking for, it's trading down 4 cents right now, but you're looking for a continuation of yesterday's pop at this one.
Absolutely. United Online. So United Online, UNTD 4.06, specialty retailer.
Okay.
Then we have Hewlett Packard, HPQ, obviously. Portfolio. What's interesting is Portfolio Recovery and United Online are both in the top list today, as you know, and that's from an article mostly in the Motley Fool. Portfolio Recovery, so I talked about that. Aruba Networks, which is interesting, 3.939. That's telecommunications.
Hey, what's the symbol on Aruba?
ARUN.
And we're still talking positive here, right, Joe? All these are the
Yes, sir.
positive. Okay. Okay. All right. Pulling.
Why?
up.
What's Aruba Networks doing right now?
Up a buck 87.
Up?
Yeah. it's
Okay. Hawaiian Holdings, Aloha, Regional Airlines, HA, still positive. Trinity Industries, 3.818. That's TRN. MGM Resorts, 3.635. Quanta Services, PWR.
Howard.
They're general contractors. And then American Railcar Industries, 3.576. So those are the top 10 that our subscribers have been looking at this morning.
American
Those are all
Railcar.
positive.
What's the symbol for our listeners there?
ARII.
ARII.
And that's one thing that's really interesting about social media is it brings new ideas. A lot of these, you know the symbol right off the bat, but there are other securities that you don't normally talk about that are going to be trading opportunities today. All right. Now we're going to go into negative conversations. And negative conversations this morning. And we only have 4 statistically significant negatives in there right now. But TFM, the fresh market, is a negative 3.445. That means the conversation is 3.4 standard deviations more negative than normal. eHealth, Inc., EHTH. And the fresh market had a bunch of downgrades, I believe. Hormel Foods, HRL, negative 2.684. And then XL, EXEL. And that's biotech, 2.497, negative 2.497. Now that is some other interesting ones that are on the negative conversation list, but not statistically significant. Twitter is one of them, number 10 on the negative list, negative 8.18. And negative 0.818. And that's what's interesting is there's not a whole lot of negative conversations going on right now. And Twitter is reacting to an article this morning in the USA Today about charging for tweets.
Really?
Charging for tweets. I didn't hear that.
Charging
story.
for tweets. So it was in USA Today this morning, and it was talking about how if Twitter charged a penny a tweet, and social media is the world's greatest source of news aggregation. They're talking about if you charge for a tweet, it will increase the usage by businesses and decrease the amount of garbage that you see in there. So anyway, so that's one that I thought was interesting.
So basically charging the user, like that's the person that's
penny.
tweeting, a penny every time? Wow.
A penny a tweet, yeah.
I don't know
USA
about
Today,
that.
I think it's a dumb idea too, but that's what Twitter's reacting to this morning.
Holy cow.
Yeah, so on the ones we talk about every day, Facebook, I'll tell you, Facebook was absolutely fantastic yesterday. Came in obviously because of WhatsApp, the acquisition. It came in as number one on the positive list yesterday, and it traded down hard early in the morning. And I keep looking at our data, and it keeps coming in positive every minute. And
what were the tweets? I mean, what were they saying? It was positive because they didn't pay $29 billion.
That's right, because they got it for a discount. No, basically what they're saying is it's gonna allow them to get into more mature audiences and obviously outside the U.S. So they were saying it was a good strategic acquisition.
Well, they nailed that. They nailed that.
That was a good call.
Yeah,
So
for sure.
Apple this morning, not a whole lot, negative 0.669. Google is almost statistically positive, a 1.982 so far this morning. We just talked about Facebook. Facebook is only a 1.36 positive, so not statistically. Twitter we talked about. IBM, not a whole lot in there. Microsoft, not a lot there. So you got some really strong ones, and then a whole lot not going on. So Chipotle, nothing, negative 0.074, and Green Mountain Coffee, not as statistically significant. So what news are your listeners interested in this morning?
Just asking them in the chat right now, so we'll wait to
hear
back.
Well, there's one, that was popping on some drug news here. ISIS Pharmaceuticals, IS.
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah, that's a good social media stock. That's always popping up on the... people are always talking about ISIS. Oh, ISIS has a nice pop. Yeah, so ISIS is 2.694 right now. So it was negative. It went from negative to positive earlier this morning, and volume is exploding. Here's some interesting ones. So pre-market most advanced, ARUN, MVIS, MTSN, ISIS, QLIK are just interesting ones that are appearing with ISIS. Yeah, so that's a positive with exploding volume. That's a nice one.
Okay, and I'm trying to, don't have my glasses on here yet. Is that AER there coming from?
Joel, aging yourself.
I know,
AER, Violet Maker wants to know about AER, Alpha Ernie Roger.
No, I'm not seeing a whole lot of anything in AER. Not a lot, no mentions,
That's a
anything.
thin one. That's a thin one.
Yeah, I have never even heard of it. Let's see if we can pull up something for it here.
J-Dot's asking about RDS.B. The Royal Dutch Shell.
No, we don't cover that one. We don't cover that one.
What about what were you getting in Groupon? Did you say you were getting it? Because that thing, did you?
Well, let me look at.
Did you see the roller coaster action in that thing? It spiked up over $12 in the pre-market, and now I bet you're getting a positive reading on this. I bet you're getting
lots of noise. So we are getting a positive reading. Not actually, the sentiment on that one is moving lower. It's a lot of volatility right now. Wow.
Yeah.
So its sentiment currently is at 0.82, and it's a lot. It's volatile. There's a whole lot of uncertainty there.
Morganomics is playing the BP, the British Petroleum, kind of hanging on to the 50 calls here. I see you got
an ADR.
Yeah, it's an ADR. Do you got any tracking?
No, I'm not carrying it.
Okay. Do you not cover ADRs? Is that
Well, we cover mostly the Russell 3000 plus other stocks that people are interested in, and you need to cover some of the bigger names, otherwise you don't get a whole lot of signal. So the stocks that people are actively trading. And so in the Russell 3000, we'll get metrics on about 2,100 of them on a given day. So most active stocks you get signals on, but if it's a micro cap, people won't really talk about it. And more importantly, when we clean the data and we're looking for the intentions of professional investors, they won't be commenting on some of these micro caps.
Because they're too small.
Yeah.
How about you got anything? I did a little blurb on Morgan Stanley yesterday, and that thing has really come off hard after earnings here, and it's come down basically to the lows of the move that it had back in February, sitting on all kinds of support here. Getting any kind of readings in Morgan?
Morgan Stanley is 1.572. Morgan Stanley is another good social media stock. So there's some comments on a good setup for Morgan Stanley today. A couple of them that are commenting on how Morgan Stanley is setting up positively today.
Okay. And what about this wild child Priceline?
Oh yeah.
Is that a good social media stock?
Back up to all-time highs too right now.
Yeah, it is. Priceline is a good. So there are stocks that you just notice that get really solid signals. Oh, Priceline's a nice one today. It's going statistically positive, and the longer-term sentiment's moving higher. That's a good one. 1.8, actually 2.763 right now. That's statistically significant positive on Priceline.
What about the pot stocks?
GWPH.
GWPH. We were looking at that one. DJ was looking. Boy, DJ's got a good feel for this market. He was looking to dip his toe into this thing yesterday, and it did have support. DJ, I don't know. We talked about playing that lower 54 area. I'm not sure what kind of heat you took on that because it went all the way down to 52 even and popped back up.
Hey, I'm sorry to jump in, but the latest tweet that just came in on Priceline, and this is a good account, Priceline not gapping up nearly as much as we expected, and buy the straddle doesn't bode well for it. This is an account that I happen to know is good. Just a piece of FYI.
Okay, TRN. You got anything on that?
TRN.
Did you mention that one?
Trinity.
Yeah.
Trinity.
Whoa.
3.877. Yeah, it's very positive today.
Wow,
Yeah, it's really high.
Follow through again from yesterday.
Yeah.
Yesterday's high 67, 62, so you're looking for that to maybe take that out and move higher.
Yeah.
And then let's see here. SWHC.
SWHC, Smith & Wesson. Okay. 1.5 positive today. 1.5. So it has a positive sentiment. In fact, not a lot of volume. Not a lot of volume on that one though. So that signal's a little suspect because there's just not a lot of activity on it. The last tweet that came in on Smith & Wesson was 22 minutes ago. So it's not a real active.
Okay, before we let you go here, we're getting the readings and everything, and I know that you're trading some of these signals here. I mean, you're not jumping in off the open on these, are you? You're just trying to.
No. The best way to do this is, and I think it was you guys that actually said this. This is a tool for your toolbox, so there's a statistically significant bias in these security prices, and when the market opens, you can go in and buy it if it looks reasonable. For example, I wouldn't step in and short a stock that's down $15 necessarily, or go step in and buy one that's gapping up $6. But the data is statistically significant. So stocks with high S scores, they move higher at a statistically significant level, and stocks with low sentiment scores, they move lower on aggregate. And so it's a very powerful tool in your tool chest. And our traders, our clients, and the subscribers to our Edge Report, they find that it's fantastic for helping them pick direction as well as option plays. Trading volatility, trading direction. It gives them a leg up on their competitors.
Okay, yeah, we talk about that a lot. Okay, last one here. This stock got destroyed. Well, actually, we got two more here.
They're starting to pop in here now.
Brent's popping in here. Rick, GDP got killed yesterday. 1180 low, pop up to close at 1228. Not sure what the news was on that yesterday here, but monster volume on the washout there. You getting any reading on that?
Yeah, it's negative. It's negative, and not significantly. It's moving 1.32 negative right now. So it's negative, but not significantly, and that was on our report yesterday. GDP was.
Got a question from the chat here, and I can kind of imagine how you're going to answer. But Ricky is asking, how can we be sure that people aren't trying to cheat the tweets? It's probably more to do with who you're following, right?
Yeah, so it's the number one concern in social media is spammers, scammers, and con artists. So there are a couple ways that we do that. First, we filter the accounts aggressively. So we look at how long they've been tweeting, what they tweet about, what is the consistency of the tweets. Are they people that typically start conversations, or are they commenting on conversations? The ones that started are typically more powerful. And when we see someone trying to game the system, we'll actually delete them. And then the second level is we actually look at the profiles of these people. So out of the entire Twitter universe, for the entire Twitter universe, we are following about 2.5 million. Not following, but those are people that are accredited in our system, and we're right now included in our metrics. There are about 50,000. Okay, so the people that we follow are not people that are gaming the system. These are the people that are making intelligent comments and putting positions out there, and their intentions are out there. And then the second thing we do is we actually filter the tweets as well. So you're getting a very cleaned, aggregated tweet. And really, for the price of a newsletter, these guys are getting the opportunity to trade ahead of the market.
Okay. All right, Joe. Thanks a lot for coming on. We'll keep an eye on
You guys are great.
Yeah, these setups today. Thanks for coming on. Have a good weekend, and we'll speak to you next week.
All right, guys. Have a great weekend, everybody. Go USA.
Go Canada.
Oh, brutal.
Just throw that out. You just throw that out.
Yeah, what are you
All
getting?
right, see you guys.
All right,
We're starting a war now. Thanks, Joe.
Bye-bye.
I wonder what kind of Twitter reading he's getting on that. But
Yeah, that's what we should have asked: is who's gonna win there?
we just missed Jay's. He wanted to ask about JC Penney. We haven't talked about that issue in a long time here. Struggled, got to pop up. That's funny how those whole numbers. It tried to stay above 6, had 3 highs, 617 and 626. Had a couple closes above 6, and then couldn't hold it yesterday. Took out the 599 low, traded down to 560 here. Trading up a little bit in the pre-market. Next level for JCPenney on the downside here. In fact, we get to that 560. You had a 534 low going back on the 10th. So just kind of falling back after failing at that $6 level.
That was a big breakdown there yesterday. I think any type of rally in this thing is going to be met with sellers, because whoever was leaning on the 6th level is like, uh-oh, because it went through there pretty hard there yesterday. May not have given you much of a shot. It went basically, if you look at the daily chart or yesterday's chart, it went from $6 to 575 in pretty much 10, 15 minutes straight down. So anybody that was leaning on that 6 probably didn't get out, or weren't able to scratch out. So this thing gets back in the 580s, 590s. I think there's sellers all over the place that are saying, thank you for coming back up and not getting me. So the bottom pickers there will be looking to get out in the 580s and 590s.
Yeah, you had three nearly identical range days. I mean, if you don't have to trade this thing every day with there's news out, but you did have 3 lows, 595 to 599. 3 lows in a row, open lower, took that out very easily. Open 595, hit 596. Actually gapped down a little bit. I don't know if there was not much of a gap, but for a strong market yesterday, that was a weak move in JCPenney.
Let's just take a look here at Joe's picks from last week, because I did write them down. So if you guys that are just tuning into Joe Gits the first time, he went like 12 for like 13 2 weeks ago, which was just phenomenal. Last week, the results were a little more mixed, but I'll tell you, the ones that he did get right really went. JOSB was one that he was saying in the pre-market last Friday that it was positive. And JOSB actually was trading down 5 days ago. It was trading down like $1 or $2, but he was saying that they were saying about a positive. The stock actually opened and then ran up another 3 points. So actually on his call, if you bought the open and sold the close, you made $3.30 on JOSB. Couple other ones was LOGM, you would have made 48 cents. GNRC, you would have lost 59 cents, so that wasn't a good one. APD, you would have made 68 cents. GNC would have made 56 cents. WTW, 38 cents. I think I'm just adding it up quickly. It looks like he went about 60%, but like I said, the losers, you only lost a penny in CTRP, you only lost 6 cents in GT, you only lost 9 cents in OWW, so the winners really were pretty big, where the losers weren't that big. So actually it was a pretty decent week for Joe there again. Once again, his picks from this week, just if you missed it earlier there, I was writing them down, and we've got Joe saying positively this morning, RBCN, UNTD, Hewlett Packard HPQ, ARUN, HAMGM, PWRARII, and negatively he's saying TFM, EHTH, Hormel Foods, HRL, and EXEL. Joel?
This is one of these. I'd like to set up here in eHealth Inc. here out of the bear bear calls here.
Yep.
EHTH. We love these kind of formations, don't we, Dennis? Look at that. 3 lows in a row here, right at the 48. What? 48. 87, 49, 10, 48, 60, just sitting above there. Wow, there's a lot of air underneath this thing. What is that? eHealth Incorporated. We'll take a look. Not doing much here. Well, it's kind of bouncing around in the pre-market though here. Wow, got way up here. Up to
EHTH?
yeah, yeah.
49 bucks is where it's right now, just a nickel. I don't really have too much pre-market
Yeah.
action.
Oh, that was actually wow. Had a wild range. Yeah. Wow. Look at the
Yesterday,
range.
bring up yesterday's chart so we can see
Wow.
yesterday's chart. Wild, wild, wild trading.
What happened there? I mean, that was something must have come out here for this thing. Got all the way up to the previous day's high, which was 54.19. Got to 53.98, and then boom, the bottom fell out here. Whatever the news was, couldn't keep it up there and just sold off really hard. That's an interesting one to see if you get follow through. So that's my pick. That's my pick of Joe's picks.
You know why I like this chart here too, just looking at it there, because in the last hour and a half, it went straight down. And I mean, you never see a chart like that. If you got long that thing, if you were picking bottoms at like the 52 area saying, oh, the low from the day might hold here, man, you're 3 points out of water underwater in a hurry here. Anybody who is long that thing did not have any chance to get out whatsoever. I think their lineup probably there at 50 bucks is where it was struggling 3 days ago. And I think you got a lot of longs that are probably caught long here right now, looking for a bounce to get out on, and there may not be one. There's a little bounce here in the pre-market. It's up a nickel, but I agree with this one. I think this thing could go lower too.
Okay, are we looking at any kind of imbalances here? To get any kind of changes? You were talking about the sell imbalance, kind of leaning that way, and we've lost a couple points here. Once again, market being allergic to the 1840 handle.
Heavy, heavy, heavy sell imbalances right now. But like I said, these days they typically flip at the last minute on you. There's so many institutions probably licking their chops if they were looking to buy and they see a big sell imbalance, they'll just come in and offset it. So a lot of these things, like I said, do get offset. Where when we talk about them the rest of the week, they usually have some relevance. Typically on this day, the imbalance numbers do not have as much relevance. But that being said, if we were to open right now, everything would open much lower. But I do imagine that there's going to be some big institutions coming in, offset these things, and we probably won't open that low on some of these stocks. Because I'm looking like Verizon right now, minus 1.7 million to sell. That's absolutely enormous. Abbott Labs, 169,000 to sell. Procter Gamble, 218,000 to sell. Bank America, 890,000 shares to sell. General Electric 964,000 shares to sell. Its sell balance is pretty much across the board right now, but I do think they're going to get offset, so I don't think they're going to open as low as right now the market would indicate.
Okay, DJ was nimble on the GWPH yesterday. Negative article came out on Seeking Alpha, and he was able to adjust his bid before he got whacked on it. So good move. Good move there. Keeping track. You know that Seeking Alpha, they do come out with things. They can move stocks. But he was looking at Canavest Corp, and boy, that thing is thin, but it's had a huge run here. That's not a pot stock, is it? Canavest Corp? I don't
Sounds
know.
like a pot stock.
It,
Yeah, it
Cannabis,
is.
cannabis.
it
It is.
is?
Yep,
Oh,
it is.
wow. Well, there's where the money shifted, huh? Went from 80 bucks here. I'm surprised this thing didn't pop up on the radar here. And best in breed here, this thing did have an 80-point run. I mean, whew, the volume here is wicked. But all right, we're going to take a quick break here, and we're going to come back with Bill Baruch, senior market strategist at II Trader. We'll be right back. Welcome back, traders and investors. We have Bill Baruch, senior market strategist at II Trader, on the line with us. Bill, how you doing on this Expiration Friday?
I'm doing great today. Thanks for having me.
Okay, just a little bit your market background and a little bit of your education.
Well, I've been trading for over 10 years, and I went to Towson University, got my business finance degree there, and then went to started working at Lid Waldock, MF Global, ran a trade desk there. So I've been in the business for quite a while.
Okay, and what different markets have you traded over the last 10 years?
Well, the reality is, if it's moving, and we have a process. I have a process to look at things, and if it's moving, I'm looking at it, and I've had some major focuses across the board at different time frames, like gold, different bonds at different times. If
Okay.
it's moving, we're in it.
So you don't have a favorite and the least favorite. You just whatever you can make money in is your favorite, and whatever you're losing money in is your least favorite.
Yeah, we have a process. It could be toilet paper futures if it's the setup's there.
Okay. All right. So you worked on the Lynn Waldock MF Global Trading Desk. So you probably dealt with a lot of different customers. What was the most important trading lesson you learned while running that desk?
Well, using leverage, you see clients come in and they want leverage to be their friend. At the same time, you don't want to be scared of it, but it's having a process and it's having an exit strategy, for that process, because you're going to be wrong. You're not going to be right 100% of the time. In fact, you can make money being right 45% of the time. But it's having that exit strategy, and when you're wrong, understand you're wrong, and it's a matter of how long you stay wrong.
Okay, we talk about risk rewards quite a bit, so that's just reemphasizing that very important point there. And tell us about II Trader.
Well, II Trader is a futures and commodities brokerage firm, and really we're finding a niche, anywhere with many types of clients, from self-directed, low cost. We compete with those TD Ameritrade, as well as we have a professional trade desk with, we put a team in your corner, so we compete with the broker-assisted levels at some of the other brokerage firms as well, at a better cost, and helping clients, define what they want, and put a plan together for them. We have a system here, and it's the client's choice if they want to be involved in that system. And we make it very easy for them to get updates. And again, anybody from self-directed to broker-assisted, we have amazing technology that many of those low-cost brokerage firms have, and we have, again, the professional trade desk you're not going to find anywhere else to put in your corner when you need it.
So you do it. You have retail as well as institutional clients.
Oh yes, yep. We have institutional clients. We have retail clients of all sizes as well.
Okay, so I see you develop individual plans for customer. Do you have like a stock list of trading plans for people? Then you kind of get their profile and put them into something. Someone's a little bit more risk averse. Obviously, you wouldn't have them trading the S&P futures. But what do? Do you just do a client profile?
Well, that's where a lot of these brokerage firms are missing it. You can't take a square peg and put it into a round hole. Every client is going to be different, and we have clients that range from people looking to novice traders looking to get in the market, and as well as clients looking to hedge large gold portfolios, large equity portfolios. So the approach is tailored to them. Everybody's going to have somebody that's going to work with them directly and understand their needs. And at the same time, we do have our system. It's called the Actionable Trade Idea System, and it's easy. It's system updates that go through a weekly, monthly, and daily chart. And when all of our I guess you could say stars align, it goes into a jury process. We send it out to an email to clients, and it goes out to over 4,000 people. and really, if they want to take the trade, they can. And if they don't, if they have any questions about it, they're always welcome to call the trade desk. We make it really easy for everybody, but at the same time, you're going to have that team in your corner. So whether you're looking to hedge a stock portfolio or you're looking to catch a breakout in natural gas or look at some of the grains or even if you're a farmer hedging grains, we tailor that approach towards you because every client's going to be different.
Okay, so just talking there, you seem to be pretty technical. What types of charts do you prefer, and what time frames do you follow?
Well, I use what's working, and over years I've found different things become work more often, and as mentioned with the system, we look at a daily, monthly, and weekly chart setup, and it's going to bring us some of the major longer term and intermediate term moves. And then we do look for, we're looking at hourly charts on some daily basis as well to try and see some of the shorter term moves. And our research also that goes out every morning covers gold, S&P, and crude oil. We find these the most attractive because they're some of the most highly traded commodities, and we give you levels on a daily basis of what to trade at. We define that range for you. So using a daily chart and an hourly chart as well as a half an hour chart can really help you trade those ranges if that's what you're looking for. But for the bigger moves, you got to look back and you got to look at the history as well. So I don't limit myself to anything. I limit myself to what's working right now, and maybe retracement levels, and maybe trend lines, and maybe moving averages. So what's been working and what's been consistent in that type of market is what we use.
What's the shortest time frame you go to? I heard you go the monthly, the weekly, the daily, the hourly, and then I saw you sneak in a 30-minute there. Do you stop there, or do you go down to even shorter time frames?
Well, when I start trading more and work with clients on a shorter time frame, the first thing that I want to see in order to do that is defining a range. And when we define a range, a market's been in a range, then we could drop down to a 5-minute and try and capture some of these levels. We put out in the mornings, on the morning call, a podcast from a head trader and founder, Rich Letition, and he helps give you a game plan. And we help define some of these ranges in that game plan. And our levels that are on there too are 1, 2, and 3 star. And if we can define a range between 2 and 3 star ranges, the most biggest barriers, then we can trade that range in a 5-minute or a 30-minute chart on a daily basis. So again, we're not limiting ourselves to what we're looking at.
Do you trade after hours or pre-market?
I don't like I'll pay attention to where the markets are. I'm not going to define a trade from what we see overnight. And unless it's there's news that comes out. Last night there was meeting minutes out of Japan from a meeting earlier this week. Sometimes there's China data that's coming out that's going to move the market. You have to pay attention to that. But when you're looking for a bigger move and a bigger setup, what I really liked recently, I actually tweeted out so people can see at my Twitter handle at Bill II Trader, was a silver chart going back a couple months, and I took the daily hours off of it, or the night hours off of it. It was just defined between the day hours, and it was a lot more consolidated, and it looked, I want to say, pretty. And you could define that triple bottom, you could define the wedge, the trend line coming down that was created in that breakout was a lot more defined, and it looked great. So sometimes you do want to take those hours off, and it helps you look at a clearer picture.
Right. No, that's true. So sometimes it's good to use it for parameters, and as opposed, there are some good moves overnight. But you're right. You're also leaving yourself open some exposure by the news. So do you go any higher than a 3-star? You said you got 1 star, 2 star, and 3 stars. Do you go any higher than that?
Sometimes we do. It's not very often, and I think right now we may have a 4-star, and it's at the continuous 200-day moving average and crude oil, which coming in there right about 99, 65, 70 area, and the only reason that's there is because we're in a major uptrend, and that's going to be one of the biggest barriers on us as a support level that we're going to see maybe this year. It took a lot of time to chew through that, and it's very rare, but we don't want to limit ourselves because you always have to evolve. And if the market is giving you something that you don't always see, you have to define it in a different way.
Okay, so let's go on to the S&Ps here, and I do my levels too. And this 1846.75, which is the all-time high, we made that on December 31st, and we bumped up to 1844.50 on Wednesday, 40 and a quarter. I mean, we've been up there a dozen times here in the last 2 months, so I don't know if I'm going to make it a 12 star here, but I certainly, have seen this level is, perhaps, one of the most important levels that we've had in the S&P since we've bottomed, back in 2009. So what's your trading plan for the S&P futures today? Based on that overhead resistance.
Well, we've had targets in the and again, it's a game plan that we create. We've last year in March, about a year ago, we put out a target in the S&P 1757, and some of the same setups that we looked at to create that year-end target at 1757. We did use to create our upside target of 1853. The market's it's close there, and we've seen it's had a tough time closing above 1840, 42 and a half. So we've actually kept that as a 2-star on a closing basis. Obviously in the 46 and a half is resistance, but that target of 53, it would be a nice move to see a lot of weak shorts get cleared out of there. And I'm not a bear by any means, but I'm defining this as a range that we could see a pop above there. The market likes to go. We call it a Pac-Man, to go there and feed on some of the stops that sit up there because a lot of people are selling with that stop above there.
Right.
And 53, is a nice target to the upside to see the next major resistance come in. But we're treating it as a trade. 17 on the downside was a 2-star support that we were looking at, and we're just going to continue to use the levels because they've worked. If we close today back down below 32, then this could start looking at a little bit of a failure. But you want to look to buy a new low today, I think, as we consolidate into the weekend.
Okay, yeah, we're just hanging up here, 1839 and a quarter. You mentioned silver here. Gold has been trending up here. It's had its big move, and now it's consolidating here up near the highs of the move. However, what kind of setups are you looking for in gold today?
Well, gold, we treat it as just a trade, and we've been bullish. We've been bullish this year, and this year, because really what you're going to look at is value that's seen, and then we've had some poor data coming out across the board, and this market has really gotten out and gotten out above the 200-day moving average, finding support at that level now. It's coming in here today roughly at 1309, and it's been stalling out a retracement level that's at 1335. So we continue to trade this range, but we're looking at that 200-day moving average as being the major support in the market now and going forward. Same thing with silver. That silver broke out, and we use that 50-day moving average in silver. If you take a look at its chart, it's always stayed above or below that for an extended period of time. So when that 50-day was held through the end of the week before, and it was able to play off of that and then break out above resistance at 20, 55, 65 area, that the bull trend was on. But really what I'm watching out between the two of them is the silver gold ratio. And it's too high right now, and it's starting to come down, and that's really what you want to see when a bull trend is created. We're not giving up. We're managing risk properly at these levels. 2190 was a retracement level that we were looking at, and we're not letting it all ride on the line right now from being long to start the year. So we're managing that properly, and I think there is more upside to come, but it's not going to be easy for people to buy right here and watch what we've seen over the last week occur again.
Yeah, never is easy. So is your coming out of the chat room here, is your trading platform primarily for day traders and short-term swing traders, or more longer term, or do you accommodate everybody?
Well, we have platforms that are easy for clients to get acclimated to and can really be familiar with it in a week. But then we also have professional platforms that you can customize however you want, and really whether you're a futures trader and you want to customize charts. Or customize your quote board, or you're an options trader and you want to customize option chains, or you want to look at the book trader, the depth of the market, the dome panel. You can customize your platform however you like, and we work with you to help you get familiar with that and be able to do so. So the possibilities are limitless.
Okay, do you have a stock screener that's available, or are you just primarily in the futures space?
We're a futures and commodities brokerage firm, and we concentrate on futures and commodities. That's what we do.
Okay, what's the most common mistakes new traders make?
Well, to go back quick, we do have a hot board. What's red and what's green on the day. You can kind of get a good idea.
Okay.
That's the closest thing we do have as a screener. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
The most common mistake new traders make.
Well, the most common mistake is the leverage. You have to understand the leverage, and really that comes down to everybody wants to become a millionaire overnight. But when you're new to the market, you got to treat your account like a business, and a lot of small businesses fail in the first year because they're undercapitalized. So capitalization, and being able, and funding the account properly, for what your strategy is going to be is really one of the major keys in being successful.
Okay, all right, and just any final tips for traders?
I'm sorry?
I said just final tips for traders. You talked about the leverage and whatnot. Just any final closing thoughts for people out there?
Well, a lot of people when you're trading your own money, it becomes emotional, and really that's what us here at II Trader are helping you with, develop a game plan. We have a process for what we do, and and we deliver that process to you. We help take that emotionality out of what you're doing.
Okay. We've had Bill Baruch on, Senior Market Strategist at iTrader, giving his thoughts on the futures and commodities markets as well as his approach to the markets. Bill, thanks a lot. You've given us some good tips, and we'd truly like to have you on the show again.
Thank you very much. I'll be back anytime.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. Bye.
Okay. Another smart guy we've had on the show, Joe. How do you keep finding these smart people?
I have a knack for it, I guess.
Okay.
I'm like a smart person magnet.
Yeah, it must be all the smart people you work around here on the Benzinga news desk.
Yeah, funny you never come too close to me, Joel. So I don't.
You're way over there on the other side. I let Chubbs deal with you.
Yeah, yeah. So, all right. I guess no introduction necessary. It's editorial headlines time. Today's medal count update from Sochi. The U.S. increased its medal lead, now standing at 25. Ahead of today's big men's hockey semifinal versus Canada. Jake over here is gearing up for that. He already gave us a service bulletin that we'll be switching over to the game at noon. Canada has also moved up in total medals, tied for second with 8 gold medals and third. Oh, I'm sorry. Canada's second for gold medals and third overall with 22 medals total. In other news, Vice President Joe Biden says the United States is prepared to sanction Ukrainian officials who are responsible for deadly violence in Kiev. The White House says Biden spoke to Ukrainian President Viktor Yanukovych. Thanks for the phonetics today, Shubs. On Thursday afternoon, Biden strongly condemned the violence against civilians. The White House says he urged Yanukovych to pull back security forces immediately. That includes snipers, police, military, and paramilitary units, and irregular forces. Biden has been the Obama administration's prime contact with Yanukovych in recent days. Fannie Mae will pay the Treasury Department $7.2 billion after reporting an 8th consecutive quarterly profit, pushing its total dividend payments above the amount of the government aid it received after the financial crisis. The mortgage finance company, which is operating under federal conservatorship, had net income of $6.5 billion for the 3 months ended December 31st, bringing earnings for 2013 to $84 billion, the highest ever for the 80-year-old company, Washington-based Fannie Mae said Friday in a filing. Business Wire, the distributor of press releases owned by Warren Buffett's Berkshire Hathaway, will stop letting high-speed trading firms purchase direct access to its service. After consulting with Buffett, a billionaire known for holding on to investments for decades, Business Wire decided to avoid the reputational hit from an association with high-frequency traders who often enter and exit positions in less than a second. By directly subscribing to Business Wire's stream of potentially market-moving corporate statements, traders could shave thousands of a second off the amount of time it took to receive and process the information in corporate press releases, including earnings and merger announcements. Without that option, the fastest traders will have to rely on middlemen such as Bloomberg News parent Bloomberg LP, Thomson Reuters, and News Corp's Dow Jones to get the quickest access to company announcements. Shubs, you didn't include Benzinga Pro in here.
What in the heck is going on?
I don't know, man. I don't know.
Shubs.
You know, it's okay. We'll get him at Whirly Ball tonight.
Yes.
Google's prototype smartphone's hardware and software creates 3D maps of its users' surroundings. The 5-inch Android smartphone sensors make 250,000 3D measurements every second to create an accurate 3D model of the space surrounding you, updated in real time. Google said the early algorithms were still in active development, but that possible future uses for the technology include capturing the dimensions of your home, navigating inside unfamiliar buildings, and finding products unaided in large supermarkets. It was developed as part of Project Tango, an exploration into giving the mobile devices a human-scale understanding of space and motion. The first major update to Windows Phone since November 2012 is expected to be revealed this April, but details have already started to emerge. Sleuths combining through the new SDK for Windows Phone, which developers released privately a week ago, have published long lists of new features, and there's a purported video of long-awaited notification system as well. Among the features identified are actionable notifications, familiar to Android and BlackBerry 10 users, email encryption, quiet hours, geofencing support, and more options for scanning material into Office. The notification system was slated for Windows Phone 8, but the team later said it didn't have time to complete the feature. Some layout changes for YouTube bring them better playlist management options. The changes rolling out to all YouTube visitors over the next few days make the YouTube site more closely resembling its mobile apps. The interface is now center-aligned, and a prominent guide 3-lined icon next to the site logo places options such as subscriptions and playlists in the center of your screen. The site has also made some adjustments to playlists themselves. Playlists that you've created and those from other YouTube users that you've liked are now listed in your guide, and personal playlists now have a better editing screen. Clicking the like button next to your favorite musician's favorite videos playlist, for example, will add that playlist to your collection. 2 western states with some of the nation's lowest smoking rates are considering cracking down even more by raising the tobacco age to 21. Utah and Colorado lawmakers both voted favorably on proposals Thursday to treat tobacco like alcohol and take it away from 18 to 20-year-olds, a move inspired by new research on how many smokers start the habit as teenagers. By raising the age limit, it puts them in a situation where they're not going to pick it up until a much later age, said Marla Branham of Lehigh, Utah, who testified in favor of the idea in her home state. In Colorado, the testimony was similar, that pushing to the tobacco age could make it harder for teens to access tobacco and possibly reduce usage rates among adults. Both proposals face several more votes, but they're the furthest any states have gone to curb access to cigarettes by teens. The director of tobacco studies at University College London didn't know of any other countries considering a tobacco age threshold of 21, but he said raising the tobacco age from 16 to 18 in the UK proved to be a public health winner. And today's trivia tidbit. Today, 49 years ago, Malcolm X was assassinated in New York City by rival black Muslims while addressing his Organization of Afro-American Unity at the Audubon Ballroom in Washington Heights. In June 1964, X founded the Organization of Afro-American Unity, which advocated black identity and held that racism, not the white race, was the greatest foe of the African American. Malcolm's new movement steadily gained followers, and his more moderate philosophy became increasingly influential in the civil rights movement, especially among the leaders of the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee. The Spike Lee-directed Malcolm X film was widely praised upon its release. Roger Ebert ranked it number 1 in his top 10 list for 1992 and described the film as one of the great screen biographies celebrating the sweep of an American life that bottomed out in prison before its hero reinvented himself. Ebert and Martin Scorsese both ranked the Malcolm X film among the 10 best films of the 1990s. Today's trivia question: Everyone, on your mark. In what many consider his best on-screen performance, Denzel Washington lost the Best Actor Oscar. Who did he lose it to?
And what was the year?
1992. Why? So you can Google it.
No, I'm not Googling it. Wow. 1992
Shubs, did you put the question in the chat?
Oscar winner. Winner, chicken dinner.
1992 Oscar. What's that, Eric? In 1992, in what many consider to be his best on-screen performance, Denzel Washington lost the Best Actor Oscar to who?
Harrison Ford.
Ooh, is that like The Fugitive? The Fugitive '92?
Fugitive was 94.
Ooh,
I was thinking
man.
94.
Oh man.
Or maybe it was 93. I don't know.
I was
92, huh?
Jake, any guesses over there, my man?
Jake is stumped.
kidding.
This is a good one.
Obviously, if you give us the movie, we'll get it right away. Correct?
Correct.
One was Titanic.
97. 98.
92.
92.
What?
Robin Williams.
I don't think Robin Williams has ever won an
I
Oscar.
don't think so either.
Comedians don't win Oscars.
I wish he had.
All right, my last guess. De Niro.
I was gonna guess that too, actually. Also,
That's a very good guess, but it
it's
is wrong.
Wah,
Al
wah.
Pacino, the
Oh,
first of
dang
his
it.
career after 4 previous nominations for his portrayal of the blind Lieutenant Colonel Frank Slade in
Man.
Scent of a Woman.
Jake, where were you on that one?
That's right. Washington won the Best Supporting Actor trophy for Glory in 1990, eventually winning top honor in 2002 for Training Day.
Man,
That wraps it up for today's
Close one.
editorial headlines and trivia tidbit. Just a reminder, ladies and gentlemen, the show would not be possible without our dear friends at Options House. It'll give you 150 commission-free trades. You don't have to get the trivia question right. You don't even have to show up. All you have to do is sign up for an account through Options House from this page. There's buttons at the top, at the bottom right. Go ahead, click on through to the other side, open an Options House account, and get those 150 commission-free trades just because you listened to Benzinga's pre-market prep. I'm giving up for the day, and I'm going to hand it over to Brent, who's going to give us rating changes as we are 2 minutes away from the opening bell.
I see what you did there with the click on through to the other side. I like
That's
that
right,
one.
a little Doors reference. I took the
up,
BuzzFeed
Jim?
quiz the other day on
Yeah.
which classic rock band you are, and
And
I
you
got
were
the
the
Doors.
Doors. Oh
Yeah.
man, I'm jealous. I'd like
I
to be
know.
the Doors.
I didn't like the questions, but that's what I got.
A couple of top upgrades and downgrades. Didn't have a ton this morning. RBC upgrading shares of Seagate to outperform, and Raymond James upgrading shares of Tim Hortons to outperform. Remember, Tim Hortons did have results yesterday, so that was a bit of a disclaimer on that one. Stiefel upgrading shares of Nordstrom this morning, or excuse me, downgrading shares of Nordstrom this morning. That they now rate the stock with a hold. RBC downgrading shares of Groupon to underperform, hitting them with that sell rating. First Global downgrading shares of Philip Morris to market perform, and also at Stiefel this morning, downgraded Walmart from buy to hold. Joel, maybe we want to take a look at Walmart really quick before the open.
The Seagate was that?
That was the upgrade. RBC upgrades Seagate to outperform. Sandy Tango X-Ray.
Wow.
You want to take a look at that one?
Well,
Is that what you're telling
yeah,
me?
I'm just a little disappointed here that didn't get a chance to play through this 50-50 level here. You had look at all those highs in a row. You had the one spike high at 50.97, but he had a bunch of highs at the 50-50 level. We're gapping up here. Boy, I sure like to see it come down to 50-50 or so, but nice breakout there, Inspired. And then you talked about Walmarts.
That's right.
Walmarts,
Yep. Walmart's.
who my wife is predicting is going to have massive healthcare clinics in there. They're gonna,
Oh, yeah.
they're going to take
remember
over.
you saying that.
Yeah, they're going to take over the world here. And you get a downgrade here, not really having much an effect on this heavily traded issue here.
All Walmart's going to need are apartments inside the building, and you'll never have to leave.
That's scary.
72.81. Yesterday's low. So today's low 73.12. So hey, I tell you, if Walmart's hangs in here at the $73 level here for a couple days, I think I'm just gonna turn around and head back north. You had those other lows. You got another bottom at 72.50. You got another low at 72.30 here. So just I don't know. I'm not shorting this thing on the downgrade here. Just into too much support for me.
Well, we did just open up about a minute ago. S&P futures actually started moving lower right at the open, 1839.25. The last in the futures I see. In cash, it looks like we are up about a point, 1841.50. But no one cares about the cash, right, Joel?
Cash is trash.
Cash is trash. Jeez.
That's not what Steve Miller
So
said.
hostile.
No, that is what Steve Miller
Oh,
said.
okay.
Your cash ain't nothing but trash.
We are pretty much through the earnings season on the news desk. Jake and I are jumping for joy. We don't gotta go crazy at 4 o'clock every day now.
Hey, Brent, did you
Hey.
see this Walmart downgrade at Guilford?
What?
Yeah,
Oh, it just
yeah.
actually just crossing the wire. Looks like.
I just got the report from John Richter at Guilford Securities.
Actually, just came out. It's kind of odd that he waited till 9:30ish to open that up.
That's right. So I'm gonna pop that into the ye old pro feed.
All right, thanks,
here.
buddy. I did want to really quickly go over a couple of. I was saying the earnings season is about done, but we do still have some pretty decent earnings reports coming up next week. I wanted to highlight a couple of those really quickly. Next week on Monday, we're gonna get results out of Solar City. That's one of those Musk plays, so people will be watching that and Tesla. Also on Tuesday, we're gonna get Home Depot. We're gonna get Macy's. Starting to get into a bit more of the retailers. Office Depot also on Tuesday. Toll and First Solar, and then on Wednesday we're gonna get Abercrombie and Fitch, Barnes and Noble, Chesapeake Energy, Lowe's, SodaStream, TJX, Target, JCPenney, and Baidu. Let me see if I can scroll through Thursday really quick. Didn't make my list out for that one. Let me see, just like Best Buy on Thursday of next week. That's gonna be before the market open. See if there's anybody else good in here. Looks
Just
like
while
Sears maybe also next week.
While you're going through these,
Sure.
we'll have to talk to Dennis about how these selling balances worked out here. But once again, the market is a teaser here. Got up to 1843 and a quarter during the pre-market session. Opened up at 1840, right on the kisser. Now we've come off about $3 here, $2, moving around pretty quickly here. Pre-market low 1835 and a quarter. The low so far here in the regular session, 1836 and a quarter. Vigorously defending here. The close, we'll see if we can hold above this 1836 and a quarter level here over the next few minutes, and then we should get a springboard back up into that 1840 hand. I just wish it would just get it over with and just break out through there, but once again struggling this morning.
Don't you wish it could just be that easy?
Yeah, just when you get long, I don't know. Maybe they were just thinking that it's going through resistance so much that maybe it's not. Maybe it's going to fool us. But Rockin' Hilly is coming out with, I think he's asked about this stock before.
Techmira.
Telmira. Telmira.
I see a K.
Really?
You see an L?
Yeah, boy, I need to go see the eye doctor here. Yeah, that's why it's TKMR instead of TKLR. But
I got you.
once again, pharmaceutical stock here. Not sure. Wow, what's driving this thing? I don't know. Did they have like another good trial or something here? Another gap and go.
Wow.
Trading at all-time highs here, 21.91. This stock was only an $8 stock at the beginning of the year,
Holy
and
cow.
now tripling. I absolutely cannot give you a level on this. I think what you need to do, Rockin' Hilly, if you're trading this thing, is check out the average daily range, which is about looks to be about $1.50. We've already exceeded that, nearly a 2-point range already. So we'll see what happens. Needs to get back up through this $22 level. We could fall back and fill a little bit. But seen anything on your
Looking through the pro feed right now, I'm seeing a news item about a couple milestone payments. Looks like they're going to be getting some cash from partners here pretty soon. Let's see. Actually, the stock was halted back in the beginning of January. Was halted reports development pact with Monsanto. That was early January, so might be seeing a little bit of follow through. But I haven't seen the stock close lower in 9 sessions, and out of the last 16 or so sessions, it's traded lower only twice. So this thing is pure momentum right now, it looks like.
So you're extremely bearish.
I mean, I usually like to be the contrarian, but I don't know if I'm ready to stick my neck out on this one. That's quite a lot of upside. As you said, this stock was $8 back on January 8th. Wow, quite the move. Hope you're bowling this one, Rockin' Hilly.
Yeah, I hope so too. I hope you're not shorted. We haven't talked about Mr. Softy in a while here, and I'd just like to bring it up for our traders. Just trying to get through this $38 level. We have hit $37.98 in the session. Multiple highs at the $37.85 and $88 level. 38 is your high in today's session. You had a $37.99 high on February 3rd here. Trying to break on through the other side. Next high above that is 38.30. But Microsoft here at some long-term resistance. Let's check out what Jake. He was chirping away this morning. He was talking to everybody at the desk. He must have cracked like 3 jokes in a row.
Oh, man.
And I said, man, did Jake go to bed early last night? I had Brent on the floor laughing because first thing Jake came in and said he went to bed at 9 o'clock last night.
Yeah,
so.
I added about 2 hours extra of sleep last night, so I'm up about 20 or 25% on the day. So huge rally this morning. And
did you have your little watch on? Your little watch? Jake has a little watch.
Oh, you know what? I should have. The what's it called? The Fitbit.
Yeah.
I was using that to track my sleep for a while. I haven't used it in a while. I should really have done that last night because something went right. I'll tell you that. But yeah, we actually real quick in our basketball update that I always like to give every day. Did you see that North Carolina beat Duke last night?
Yes, I did, and I saw that Michigan State set a record for 3-pointers.
That was
so 17.
Yeah.
17. So I think even though it's at Michigan, I think you're probably going to have to give me about 6.5 points.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it depends if we actually get healthy. Appling's still coming back, and I guess we'll see if Dawson manages to have his hand unbroken by this game. We'll see. Still a mess, but they're sort of coming back. Should be a good game this weekend. On the earnings side, though, I'm kind of looking at some of these ones after the close yesterday. I mean, Groupon. I think you guys have already gone over this chart probably, but woo, they beat on the bottom line, they beat on the top line, but their Q1 guidance is just brutal. They're expecting a loss of 2 to a loss of 4 cents a share. The street was expecting a gain of 6 cents a share, so way below street expectations. And then just some of the comments on their conference call, they're talking about the new innovations that they're releasing include a new form of email widget. And I remember when Brent got the comment, he turns over to me and just gives me this weird look like, email widget? That's the best they can come up with? And I think that's exactly how the street is reacting right now, just kind of scratching their heads that, Groupon was coming back for a while there, really had that strong rally, and then the conference call is just not really inspiring.
It gapped down here. I thought, Dennis and I, mistakenly, we thought this 880, 890 level was going to hold, but no, not at all here. Opens up right at 896, ticks 897. On the low of the day here in Groupon, I guess you got to look at the 840 low on December 2nd. That's where, if this weakness continues in Groupon, that is been the last area of support. I hit that once again on December 2nd. So there's the target for you shorts there for Groupon.
Another one we were definitely watching after it closed yesterday is, it's Priceline. Papa Charlie Lima November is the ticker there. For anyone that's not familiar, EPS came in at $8.85 versus $8.29 expected, while revenues came in at $1.54 billion versus expected $1.52. So it looks like weather didn't hurt them. They did guide down for the first quarter, though, $6.35 to $6.85 for that first quarter. Street was looking for $7.11. So the guidance was not so hot. And I guess, correct me if I'm wrong, Brent, on that conference call, they didn't mention anything about weather slowing them down, did they? I don't know. I didn't personally hear the conference call, but I know I was watching for that to see if they would try and use that as an excuse. I didn't hear anything about it. They beat on earnings, so.
Have you ever used Priceline?
You know what? I personally haven't. I've used Kayak, and I've used Hitmonk, and I've used, what's the other one I've used? I used TripAdvisor once as well. I haven't used Priceline yet. I probably should.
13.35.13 is what it hit in the pre-market. Was only able to hit 13.33.12 in the regular session here. I just keep an eye on here. We did bounce off 13.20.22 here. I think I'd be more inclined to, let this thing go short through 13.20 than I would be trying to pick a bottom anywhere between 13.20 and. Wow, the former all-time high was 13.82 here, so you can't quite get to that pre-market high. And just real quickly, the S&Ps here are just not responding in kind on the upside here. Still hanging in its settlement here, pre-market low 35 and a quarter. We've gotten to 36 and a quarter here, so just testing the close here. Trying to find some support here to get back up and get back up into that 1840 handle.
On the macro side, for the S&Ps, we did have that. There's a new agreement inked between the protesters and the president of Ukraine. The agreement, the details aren't out quite yet, but there were some very disturbing comments coming out of that. Russia saying that they're willing to go to war over Crimea, which is the province that is primarily Russians in Ukraine, and so they're saying if the country splits up that they will basically occupy that like they did with Georgia back in 2008.
Ugh.
That's going to be a mess, and I wouldn't be surprised if that's holding things down a little bit, and we still have a lot of violence over in Venezuela, which could be affecting oil futures. Keep in mind Venezuela is a major oil producer for the United States and North America in general, and that violence is much worse than over in Ukraine. It's just not really getting the coverage right now. I don't know if that's exactly affecting the oil or not, but just keep an eye on that. I know we were above $100, so something to watch there. Moving back more to the micro side, Hewlett-Packard did report yesterday. I think originally we weren't thinking this would be the biggest report, but pretty interesting to me. 90 cents versus the 84-cent estimate. Well, revenues came in at $28.2 billion versus expected $27.17 billion. They did release some guidance as well, guiding their second quarter revenue from 85 to 89 cents a share. Street was looking for 89 cents, so they're putting Street estimates at the top end. Their fiscal year did look good, though, guiding fiscal year 2014 from 360 to 375 a share. Street was looking for 366, so they're above Street estimates. But I think most importantly, they're raising their own guidance. Their previous guidance was 355 to 375. So, raising the bottom end, keeping their top end there, so they're getting a little bit more optimistic. Hewlett-Packard with I can't really call it a mixed report. They beat on the earnings, and their Q2 wasn't so hot, but they're not taking Street estimates out of their range. I don't know. It's a pretty solid looking report from Hewlett-Packard.
Yeah, this it opened up. The only thing I don't like, we're talking about breaking above the $30 level. What I don't like about it here so far in today's session, opened up at 30.62 and only ran another 9 cents and then came back down through the open. We've already filled the gap here from yesterday's trading. Did get close to the close here, which was 30.19. So, if you're looking for this thing to, to rally back up to the highs, this is the level you need to hold in right here. The close from yesterday, 30.19. Today's low so far, 30.20. Got a nice 20-cent bounce of there. So, kind of true technical pattern there. Above 30.71 if the rally continues. Pre-market high 31. Probably have some fresh paper there since Hewlett-Packard hasn't been up in this area in over 2 years.
Moving over this morning, we did get some results from Dish Network, Delta India, Sandy Hotel. EPS came in at 63 cents versus the 41-cent estimate. While revenues came in a little bit thin at $3.5 billion versus expected $3.59 billion. Now keep in mind they've been having this dispute with the World Wrestling Federation, and they have they're doing all the pay-per-view wrestling matches. I guess they're no longer going to carry those because they're having this big spat because the World Wrestling Federation wants to do their own streaming network. So Dish is no longer going to carry that, while some of the cable networks are still considering carrying that. But that fight seems to be continuing. I don't know, Dish Network with a decent report here, though.
60 was a high in the pre-market, opened up 58.88, rallied another 30 cents, and then Dennis would say kapooey, came back down through the $59 level, traded all the way down to 57.88 here. Below that 57.88 low, I'm looking at 57.30 and 57.36. The highs in the two previous sessions to provide support.
Well, shockingly, I think we're towards the end of the show here, Joe or Joel. What do you think about the S&Ps on today's session? I know we've got some unrest worldwide, and I'm sure there's a lot of futures trading hanging on this hockey game at noon.
Yeah, things will slow down here, but we've held that pre-market low of 18.35 and a quarter, ticking down to 18.36 and a quarter. So that support well defined off the sell imbalances off the open. We're holding in here. Now coming back up 1840, the day session high. I see that falling by the wayside, as well as that pre-market high of 1843 and a quarter. Then we'll deal with that major resistance. 1844.50 was Wednesday's high, and the all-time high at 1846.50. So that's our broadcast for today. Hope we've given you some good trading tips, and we'll be back with you on Monday.